Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this webinar. So today what we're going to cover is the club apps, which is obviously what your members will use, and the manager apps, which again, as it says, is sort of what your team managers, captains, and admins will be using. The way we're going to structure this is we'll go through a few slides of the PowerPoint. We'll then run through a demo of the manager app, answer a Q&A off the back of that, and then we'll do the exact same for the club app. So it's going to be obviously a little bit of switching around here and there, but hopefully it should give us a good amount of time for any questions that you may have that you sort of feel you want to get covered. So yeah, as I say, we'll get started now. First thing we'll go into is the manager app. So obviously with the manager app, as I say, what we're going to go through is the roles and permissions, the functions, do a demo Q&A, and as you can see there, similar thing with the club app. So with the roles and permissions to actually get moving on the manager app, what you will need, sorry, let me just move this so it's not covering. What you will need is either team admin or webmaster access to use this. So it's still the same login as you would use for the club app, web browser, etc. It just obviously those two admin roles give you the access to then do that. If you have anyone at your club that you feel needs it, and you want to sort of speak to someone about what different roles they can get access to, different areas they can get access to with the different roles, then feel free to get in touch. Obviously, you've got the support team on support@pitchero.com, or you can come directly to myself. I'm more than happy to have a chat about this. So with the manager app, it's obviously it's available for free to your admins on the iOS and Android stores. So as you can see here, it's sort of everything's covered on it. So you've got training management, fixture management, sending out prompts for availability, match fees. You can then go in and score, do the live scoring. Obviously, less so important for you guys, cricket. You'll be using Play Cricket for that. But you've got absolutely everything you could sort of wish for. And as you work through it, you'll see it's sort of more and more familiar and really nice and simple to use and keep things moving on the go. So the key features, as I just mentioned there, so you've got the match center. Again, that is the fixture management. So that's adding fixtures, editing fixtures, changing the info, doing the results, things of that nature. It's really sort of simple to go through. That also then has the match fees element embedded within it. So then you've also got the player availability function where you can sort of track everything, prompt people for their availability if they haven't already set it in advance. You can go through and do your team selections based off of that availability. You can go, say, if you're playing in the first team and there's a wedding that weekend, by example, so half the first team are missing, you need to draft in from the twos and threes. You can filter through as the captain to see the availability for the other teams as well. So it's really sort of handy to work through the club and just sort of keep everything one central system and nice and easy to use for your captains. Obviously, again, sort of more so for juniors, you can manage training and player attendance. So that is obviously setting up training sessions, etc., and then marking the availability. We also on the Pitchero admin dashboard, there is a track and trace element which allows you to sort of do an export of that attendance and also what games have been played in. So nice and handy to keep on top of things, as I say, especially for the kids side of the club. Other sort of key features are obviously automated social media updates. So you can share sort of key match events in real time. You can publish selections, things of that nature directly to the social media. So that's Facebook and Twitter directly, as well as obviously out to the club via the apps. And then, as I mentioned before, you can obviously collect specific match fees, whether it's starter, student, senior, junior, etc. So you can sort of work through that. And then obviously the big one is track who has and hasn't paid. So it takes a little bit of admin away from possibly the treasurer, and obviously gives a little bit more to the captains. And obviously it just means everyone's sort of doing a little bit more across the club and reducing that sort of volunteer admin for a specific member. So it's not just one person doing it, it's 3 and 4 people helping out to cover it. Lovely. So as I say, I'll just switch over now to the manager app and get my phone shown, and then we'll obviously run through that. And as we're running through, any questions you've got, there's the Q&A box, so feel free to put stuff in there. And then at the end, we'll circle back and answer all of those for you. Obviously, so can I just double check that you can all see the manager up there? Just someone put a yes or something in the Q&A. That'd be great. Perfect. Thanks for that. Um, get rid of them and then we'll get going. So obviously, the when you open the screen on the manager app, what you're going to be met with is what you can see here. So this is the fixtures element. And obviously, this is obviously will show if you're a webmaster, you'll get, as you can see along the top here, you'll see all the different teams within the club. So you can click into them and see those fixtures. Or obviously, if you are a team admin, you'll only see the fixtures relevant for your team. So as we mentioned, adding a fixture, nice and simple, just a big white cross in the top right. You click on that and then you can go in, choose the team that it's for. Again, if you're a webmaster, you've got full access. If it's for your team, it will default to your team. You can then put, obviously, the home team, you type in the away team, put a date and time in, obviously start time, and then you can choose what sort of fixture it is, whether it's a friendly league fixture, cup. As you can see, the list there goes on. And then once you've done that, you hit done and it will add it in, as I've sort of added the webinar one in here for a very obscure time of 10 to 6. I don't know why I did that, but yeah, so nice and easy to sort of add the fixtures. Then once you've done that, you've got the full functionality of the match center to go through from there. So if I click into this webinar one, what you've then got is obviously the basic information that you have just put in. So obviously all the sort of start time, date, etc., who it's against. You can change the status of it to be cancelled, postponed, etc., if you need to. You can add certain locations in. Obviously, that is based off of what you've added into the admin dashboard under settings, and then the club information. So obviously, you can then also put meet time and then also instructions. So if I was saying for a 5:50, we could go. It's a 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock meet. 5 o'clock, and then obviously instructions, etc. You hit done on that, that's saved. And then obviously the big one is the availability and selection. So before the fixture, you say a week before, you can actually go into the availability for that date to see who has set what. If none of your members have set them, or sort of the vast majority haven't set anything, you can then send out a prompt to your players to set it. So you can hit prompt. That will then send a push notification and an email for them to then set their availability, and hopefully some of those orange exclamation points will then turn into green ticks. And then obviously off the back of that as well, you've got the team selection, which again, you will be able to see the availability for. So you've got the option here just to go in and then obviously start choosing some of your members. So we'll put a few people in the team here. I'll get myself batting at number 3. Bit of a nosebleed for me, but anyway. Obviously, yeah, you go through, just sort of start adding your members. If you hit a point here where you've got 5 and then you realize, hang about, we need to then sort of work out a variety of different things, you can click in the top right here. That brings up a few different pieces. So you can actually choose to see those who have just set themselves as available. Obviously, you can see who's unavailable as well if you want to. The other one is working it by a specific group, so you can do all that stuff. But obviously, the key one is this scrolling bar here. So if you, by example, are in the first team and you need to select from the 2s, you can then click into the 2s and run through, and then just select a few players from there. So obviously, it would have to be done case by case, but you then just go through and select like Barry here. Off the back of that, it's nice and easy to sort of do that selection. You can then publish that out. So if I hit publish here, it will then send that notification out to everyone to say they have been selected. Please go through and confirm it. Obviously, if you know the away team, you can always go in and add them in as well if you want to. Obviously, that's very sort of niche, but if you do know the away team, by example, and they've told you they're 11, then you can obviously go in and add that if you do so wish to. Other areas, obviously, scores and events, you've got that, but obviously for you guys, it's less important because you're going to have the scorecard added in and pulled through from Play Cricket. So that area is sort of a bit redundant for you, but obviously if you do wish to, you can add sort of manual prompts in there. But as I say, everything's going to be coming from Play Cricket, so less important. Then obviously the big one is match fees. So match fees tethers sort of off the back of team selection if you do want it to. The other option is you can manually add players to it. So obviously we have the odd club that doesn't do their selection or doesn't want to do their selection on Pitchero because it's for the juniors and they don't want to publish out who has and hasn't been selected. So they'll just use sort of the match fees, add a few players in, send those fees out. Obviously, if you do the team selection, you can then press use team selection. It pulls everyone through. They'll then be set to that default amount. And then if I just go through and say Will is actually a student, Barry is a junior. You can change those fees. Obviously, if you need to add and remove players, you can do so. So adding a player, you just click in the top right there, then you can go through and add someone else in. Or if you, for example, need to remove someone, you can simply just go through. All you would do is press, you'd have to send it initially, or in the top right again, you can just go in and press the minus button to remove them. So, by example, whatever there, press that, it's removed them from the list. It's nice and simple to sort of send them out. You hit send, again, push notification sent, email goes out, member goes in, makes payment via credit card, debit card, Apple Pay, Google Pay. Really sort of quick and easy for them to do. You've then got the status of them there, obviously all showing as unpaid. Hopefully within sort of 2 or 3 minutes of sending those out, they'll all go green. But the captain can come back to this page and sort of just make sure everything is up to date. And obviously, if I click into myself here, what I can then do is if I've assigned myself the wrong fee, I can go in and change myself to a senior, and that will obviously just change that fee for myself. If someone's given me cash, you can mark it paid cash there, add a note. You can also re-request it. So if you come in, say 2 days later, and there's 2 people that are still outstanding, you can just go back in and request that fee from them again. So obviously, if you hit that, it will then send out again, push notification and paid cash. You then just hit confirm. You'll get a nice screen with the check mark, and then obviously that pulls through. So nice and easy to sort of keep on top of the tracking. And obviously with the match fees, as we've gone through in the previous webinar, you've got the whole sort of different reporting on it as well. We'll also be showing that in a further webinar down the line. So that's obviously the match center. The other areas to look into are obviously the training. So obviously you guys can create training sessions here. So you can go in and view all the sessions en masse. So this is what's upcoming just in general, or obviously if you want to add them in, you can click the top right again, the plus. So location, we'll just put home. The training is going to be in the under 15s. So save and continue. We're going to select the teams that are in that. So obviously, typically I don't have under 15s. We'll put the 16s and 17s in it. Choose the start time and the date. So we're going to say the first training session is the 8th of March. It's 6 till 7 o'clock, and then it repeats. So we click that every week. The repeat ends. So this basically allows you to choose how many sessions there are. So like a block of sessions, etc. So I can say it ends after 10 weeks. So those training sessions are recurring once a week for 10 weeks. So sort of nice and easy to run through. And if you do wish to, you can put a description about the session. So obviously once you've then created that, that'll then add in here. I can click into that, go into a specific session here, and then you'll be able to see availability for that. So again, people can set their availability. You can get a feel for how many people are going to be attending and have obviously a bit of time to plan out a session, whether it needs to be sort of more one-to-one focused if there's only a low amount turning up, or if you need it to obviously be sort of more encompassing to cater to a much larger body. So you've got that option there. And obviously, if you did want to, you can take a register. Obviously, it's just a case of having this page open and then just ticking people off, sorry, as and when they show up. If I click into myself here, I can say that I was excused from training and obviously put a note on it as well. So you've got sort of full flexibility to record attendance as you sort of wish to on that. It just means that a admin needs to have the manager app open as people are turning up. So nothing too arduous, nice and easy to keep on top of. And as I say, that's sort of the training session done. You'll have a list of all the various groupings there that you can then look through and see, so everyone can get full visibility on that. The other 2 areas are obviously the members. So this is where the membership information will be stored. So if I click into the member here, you've then got all the different members in here. So I can go in and click on Denise here. You can see various few bits and pieces of the overview. You go to details, it will then give you their information, various medical information that they've added in. Obviously, their registration form answers, so you've got full visibility of that. And then obviously, if they're registered where it says invite to register, you'll have a message option. You can message them. And also if they've got a phone number added, this would be obviously more so parents and senior players. You can also call them if you wish to from this. So very handy place to have everything. Obviously, if you wish to filter various bits and pieces down within this, that you can do as well. So like I say, you've got full sort of flexibility on that, see all information. Again, this is dependent on what role you have. If you're a webmaster, you'll see all teams. If you're a team admin, you'll only see this information for your team, and obviously the list of players in your team. So nice and easy to keep on top of. And then at the bottom there, what you'll be able to see is it says invite new members. Basically, if you click that, it allows you to send an invite link to a new member. Obviously, if it's via WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, airdrop it, whole host of different ways that you can do it. It's just a nice, easy way to sort of ping someone a link. They can then go through the sign up process, and it just keeps everything nice and easy. Within this, as I say, you'll have those requests that come through if you send that link out. So you would get notifications about it. But as you can see here, you have the requests will come through to the manager app as well as the admin dashboard. And you can just sort of go through and accept those if you wish to. So again, nice and easy to keep on top of that side of it. Don't have to open a laptop up and go into the admin dashboard to approve requests. You can just do it as and when they come through on the go. Then the other area in here is obviously the availability. This will just show the date of an event, so like a fixture, training session, etc. And then obviously the various availability that's been set for it. So you just get sort of a club-wide view of it. For your admins, obviously going into a fixture specifically and looking at the availability there will be a much handier feature because it will give them the list of players in their team. As I say, this is more so club-wide. So it's a handy thing to have for if you've got a selection committee, just to get a general feel. But as I say, for captains, coaches, etc., the fixture view would be a lot more sort of handy for them. And then lastly, if I go into the announce bit here, this just allows you to send out messages. It does have the replies disabled as default. You can't enable them through the manager app, but obviously you can just go in, and if there's a training cancelled, by example, you could go into the first team, select all, add those recipients, go in, put a subject in the message, hit send, and that will then send out that message to the cohort of the first team to say fixtures cancelled, trainings cancelled, whatever it may be. And then you can obviously go back into this page here, click into it, and if you tick in the top right there, you can actually see who's read it and obviously not. So it's a nice, easy way to just make sure that everyone's actually got the notifications that you've intended to send out. So that's obviously just a quick whip through of the manager app. As I say, I'll hang about here on the sort of manager app screen for a couple of minutes. I'll just let a couple more questions come in, answer those, and then we'll move on to the club app side of things and obviously show you how things pull through for the members and how it will work and look for them. Lovely. So we've got a few questions in here. First one from Martin. How do I ask the twos players for availability, e.g. if they don't have a match on the same day as the ones? So with the sort of roles of player, Martin, the way you would work it is that essentially you give the role of player for the different teams to someone that could be up and down. So by example, there's a fair amount of flexibility obviously in selection. So generally speaking, just to make it easier, you give someone the role of player for the ones, twos, and threes, and then they can set their availability, with availability being done by date. Obviously, they'd see the one for the first team. They could then set that available, unavailable, and then it then allows the captain to go in and see the availability for that person. So, like I say, toggle over to the second team, and then they can see that availability for the various things. They'd obviously show in the first team list as well. So yeah, you've got that option. It's just a case of making it sort of fluent across the club and making sure people have the access to do so. Andy has asked, if most players are on annual subs, but just a couple pay match fees, can you send payment requests for just 2 of the 11. Yeah, so you just remove the other 9 players from the squad and send out the prompt to 2 of them, Andy. So obviously, as I went through, I'll just bring it back up here. So if you go into the match center, go into the webinar one here, match fees. Obviously, when you're assigning it, you just go into the players bit up here in terms of who you're adding and stuff. And then obviously where it says unpaid, there would just be a minus. So you press that minus and it removes them from that sort of match fee list. And then obviously they won't receive the prompt. If you do obviously send the prompt out in error, you can just go into the member and actually delete that. So nice thing to keep on top of. But it will pull through eventually. There you go. Sorry, it took a minute, but as you can see there, gone off that list. So yeah, it's a manual case of just removing them from the list, but it can be done nice and simply. So Tanya, I've just answered that first question there. So hopefully that's covered. And then again, concerning training sessions, is there anything on the roadmap to allow the same principle as match fees? It's something that we've looked into. It is slightly more complicated to achieve than expected. So it is something we'd like to do. It's not currently on the roadmap to do so. It's not got a timescale or anything, but it's something we'd like to do. However, you mentioned the product route is very manual. The way that we advise people to do it, Tanya, is to create training sessions as matches and then just manually add people into those match fees area. So obviously, like I say, again, you would go into this match fees area, click into players, and then just add the people. So press the plus button on them, and then you can use the match fees as essentially like training fees. So that's the way I'd do it. I wouldn't go down the product route, as obviously, like you say, you'd have to sort of manually recreate ones week by week and assign people en masse. So this just obviously is similar to match fees. It is the match fees element. You just sort of use it for a training session by creating a fixture as training. Martin's, Martin's asked, how can I tell if a player who is in 2 teams is really available for my team? For example, if a player is in 2 teams, but for example, can't travel, they'd use the notes section, Martin. There's a notes area of availability. So they'd set a note to say, can only play in the home fixture, can't play away today. Something like that. And then you can see that on the availability. So that's how you answer that. Paul's asked, is there a way for a treasurer to see who's paid cash? Yeah, so on the transaction export, Paul, as everything with a manual payment on Pitchero, you'll see how the member's paid and it will say cash. So yeah, nice and easy. On the transaction export, you'll be able to see who has paid cash rather than by card. Richard has asked, can you track payment of club membership fees and can you add fees to training sessions? We hire out nets at the local school. Yeah, so as I mentioned, Richard, create a training session as a fixture and then use the match fees element to cover that. In terms of membership fees, etc., that's obviously through another area. That is via the admin dashboard. We did cover that on the last webinar. So if you need a link to that, feel free to get in touch with the support team and they can send that over to you so you can have a look through it. Yeah, Nick's asked if we can go through the group message, basically to send out to all the players in the team. So nice and easy, Nick. Obviously, from this homepage here, you go into the announce button in the bottom right. And then from there, in the top right, there's obviously the create. You can then go in, choose your recipients, select a specific team on the top here. And then obviously you select all. And then from there, add them in, subject, message, hit send. Dead simple, nice and easy to do. Fairly straightforward to keep on top of that. Mandy's asked, is there any way for players can be automatically? No, so they can't be automatically not available if they haven't paid. The best way to manage that, if your club has a if you don't pay, you don't play policy is just remove the role of player, and then they won't be able to see the fixtures. And then once they've paid, you can get them back in that squad. That would be the way to manage that, Mandy. So, Colin, yeah, you can deselect player. You simply so let's create a new fixture. Uh, First team, away team, webinar, C. After that, SEC, date, six, etc. Run through all this, put a time on it. Then once you go into that, you'll click into it. Obviously, do your team selection, etc. Go into match fees. If you want to add manual players, I may be blocking it. Sorry. If you want to add manual players, you can do. So you hit add players there, then you can just go in and add them in. And then obviously you can see as I'm adding those players in, it will then show you obviously that you can then remove them. So by example, if I hit done here, it will then show those players, but you can then go back into that list at the top. And then as I can see Joe there, I can deselect Joe and it will then remove him from that list. So hopefully that covers that for you. Colin, let me know if you're wanting to see obviously anything else on that. Hugh has asked teams for e.g. adding a second team player must have selected be a second team admin as well as first team. I can't say I fully follow that question. So yeah, the second team admin would be the one that's doing the selection, obviously. Might be one to just drop us an email about, and then we can obviously go over it in a little bit more detail rather than back and forth in via this. Hugh. So, Colin, can we deselect after a payment demand? Yeah, you just go in and delete it. So, as I showed before, you will go into, let's go back into the ones that I sent on this one. So you go into here, I can obviously click like Barry there, hit delete. And then if I go back in here, Barry will then, it takes a little bit of time to work through, but Barry will then actually be deleted. So if I go back into here, you can see Barry's actually gone from that. So yeah, nice and easy sort of way to remove them. No worries on that side of things. So I'll wait just sort of another minute or so if there's any other questions on the um, manager app before obviously pulling over to the club app side of things and running through that. Okay, so Hughes just asked one more question. No, if you're the first team admin and any admin, you can see availability across multiple teams. As I say, for the instance that someone may need to sort of have a flexibility in selection. So the first team admin would just be able to toggle around to the second team and do the selection based off that, because they'd be able to see the availability for that date for that team and do the selection based off of that. So moving over to the club app side of things, obviously you guys will be familiar with how it works, etc., and moving things forward. Obviously, most of this is obviously use cases for members, and obviously feel free in the Q&A section to ask questions that you may get from members. We can run through obviously how best ways to sort of feel those questions are, and hopefully sort of alleviate any stress points that you may have during the start of the season from new members, etc., signing up. But as you'll be aware, key features, obviously the schedule, member by member, they can see the specific fixtures for themselves. If they are a parent, they'll be able to see their kids' schedule as well, run through that, set the availability. Obviously, that's for fixture and training. Uh, so you can go through and manage payment, whether that be match fees or actual your sort of membership fees, tickets, tours that you may be going and setting up. So you can obviously pay all of those nice and easily. Other sides of it is obviously receiving club updates on the go, whether that be news articles, match reports, photo albums from those weekend's games. Get a whole host of different things from that. So whether that be club-wide news or just team-specific news, you get obviously notifications of those as and when they are posted. And then other side of that is obviously going in and viewing the sort of results for that weekend, the various scorecards, seeing people's stats, how many runs they've scored, figures for bowling, various bits and pieces. So nice and handy sort of to have that side of it. The other obviously element is I'll run through the club app now, but the key sort of thing here is if you want to sort of take note of these when we send them round, these QR codes basically allow people at the club to download the club app, obviously, or the manager app if they're an admin. So it could be quite handy to copy these, put them onto flyers, etc., that you may want to post around the club. I know at the start of the season, it's a fairly sort of handy feature to have and one that is fairly widely used by a fair few clubs that are obviously on the Pitchero system. So I'll switch over now to, again, the club app, and we'll run through obviously the capabilities of that, and of any questions as and when we're going through, just fire them away and we'll come to them at the end. Again, just double check everyone can see that. If someone can just give me a thumbs up, that'd be great. Lovely. Thank you for that, guys. So yep, as you can see, this is obviously the homepage people will see when they first come into the app. So you've got obviously the fixtures that relate to you as a member at the top here for the teams that you're related to. So you can obviously see previous ones there, most up-to-date ones in terms of what's upcoming, and then any sort of ones in the future on that side. As you can see, match fees, etc., that you get sent. You can see the various ones here as you come in. So if any of your members say, "Oh, I wasn't aware," and I've been on the app and there's nothing there to say, um, I've said sorry to say that I've got outstanding match fees. You can obviously say we've got proof that you will see that. So obviously, if they've been assigned match fees, they're going to see it. Hopefully, no one has quite so many as myself. Obviously, 618 outstanding is a fair amount. So hopefully, you don't get into that position this year with any of your members. But as you scroll down here, you'll then see news articles. At the top here, you can go to a matches page, sort of see a wide variety throughout the club, again, associated to what teams you're linked to. Again, tables, news articles, photo albums, videos, events. You've got the whole sort of cohort along the top there for your news and consumption. Then along the bottom here, you will have the schedule as the main thing. So as I say, you can go in, you can actually sync your schedule with your phone calendar or Google Calendar, etc. So you can sort of get everything added in for the season that you may need to. Set an availability, obviously nice and easy. So in the top there, you can then go in and set your availability. Put a note on it if you wish to. Then obviously admins, etc., can see that. And then if you've been selected, you'll then see this box here that says respond to selection. Again, you can just select that and then confirm that you are playing. Handy bit with the obvious selection as an admin side of it is you will then get an email at the end of the day with a breakdown of sort of the availability and sorry, the selection notification. So who's sort of said yes, 4 people have said yes, 2 people have said no. So you can go in and obviously see that and then change it if needs be. Then other than that, you can obviously go in and set your availability throughout the season. If you know it that far in advance, I'm sure there'll be quite a few people at the clubs that will just be setting it week by week. Again, parents, if you've got players that are parents as well, they've then got their child as a tab there that they can, again, same thing, just go in and set the availability for them. Nice and easy to sort of manage. As I say, you can then work through it and make sure to go through it for the full season. The other areas, obviously, if I click into this, what you're then going to see is match details as well. So if you've been selected, you'll be able to see the date, kickoff, meet time, what fixture it is, the actual selection of that. Again, if there's a report added at the after the fact and a scorecard, then obviously you'll be able to go in and see both of them. So a nice, easy way for your members to toggle through it and keep track of all things relating to them in terms of what they played in, etc. Then you've got your messaging. So as I say, anything that you sent out via the manager app, your members will then get them coming through here. So they'll be able to see the various ones that you've sent in here. It'll just come through. And then obviously, as you say, the replies are disabled. So they'll be able to just see that, read it. And obviously, if it's something that is more widely sent and has a reply on it, you can obviously then go in, type a reply. You can add photos and stuff to it if you really want to. It sort of works more so as a messaging system would that you'd be familiar with. Again, sort of a WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, etc. Nice and easy to sort of keep on top of that. And then further to that, if you wanted to see who was in a group, etc., and who's the admins, turn off specific notifications for groups, you could do that through clicking the little eye icon in the top right hand corner of a specific chat. So nice and easy to obviously work your messages. And then again, payment side of things, you've got a whole list of your payments, whether that be match fees or actual membership products. You've got all of them listed down here. So obviously you can see the match fees. If I click into these, you'll see they're grouped together based on if they're the same fee, they will then group together. So people can pay them in bulk. By example, if you don't pay for 4 weeks, they can pay them in bulk there. And then it is a handy thing to know if members pay in bulk for, say, 4 fees. What will then happen is they would only be charged the transaction fee. So they'd be charged the transaction percentage for each transaction. However, the 18p, that's obviously available now with Stripe Connect Express. They'd only be charged that once if they had 4 payments, by example. So reduces the cost to the club. Handy little bit to know. In terms of payment, obviously you've got card, Apple Pay, Google Pay, dead simple for people to make payments. And then going back into the shop, you can toggle through to see what's been assigned to you. So I can see that these are the various things that have been assigned to me, fees and all that stuff. Obviously, if I wanted to go in and create my memberships, pay my membership, you go in, you can select the fee that you want to make payment for, go through the process to then purchase that. So you go through buy, select who it's for, you hit next, then take you through to payment. If you've added like a payment form or anything like that, before you get to this page, it will obviously then bring that up and ask you to fill it out. So again, payment side of things, very, very straightforward and very convenient. Again, you've also then got the capability to go in and see what's been assigned to a child so you can make payment on their behalf as well. Nice and simple, nice and easy to sort of run through. Obviously, then the other main thing is in the top right-hand corner here. You've got a whole host of different areas. There's a new little bit that's been added in, which is report a bug. So if anything goes wrong, screen freezes, various other bits and pieces, you can't make payment, etc., you can directly report a bug to the support team, and obviously not have to go through the hassle of creating an email, etc. You just press that report bug, and then you'll be able to send something directly to them with various screenshots if you can have them. Again, help centers there as well. You can then do your notifications, so you can choose what notifications you want to receive. This is a handy one to know for you guys, just in case members are saying, oh, I'm not receiving content from the club, not receiving notifications, they may literally have just disabled them. So you can obviously get them to come in and check their settings within Pitchero and then also on their phone as well. Then the main sort of three areas are obviously your match fees. You can then see them again as it showed previously and make payment for them. The roles within the club that you may have. So if you have a parent that is wanting to become a coach this season, they can then go in and apply for the role of parent, sorry, not parent, of team admin for the under 15s, by example. That will then say, as you can see here, like applied. So they won't be able to see that until it turns to be approved. So they'll be notified that their role has been approved by the messaging, and then obviously the sort of distinguishing factor here is it says remove or applied. So if it says removed, then it's been accepted. Again, if your kids started playing senior cricket, etc., and you need them to be a part of those teams as well, you can then apply for those roles for them if the club haven't already added them. So you can obviously direct parents to then go through this area, or obviously, like I say, add them in manually if you do wish to. Then the other key area at the start of every season to get people to look into is the account details. So again, you've got the tab for yourself and a child, you've got all the information in here. Then this is the Pitchero required fields, this top one, and then where that little breaker is, that is where the club's sort of information kicks in that you've created under membership and fields. So that's where all of that kicks in. And obviously you can then go in and fill that out. It's always handy at the start of every season just to send out the prompt to update information notification via the admin dashboard, the membership database. It's always best to send that out at the start of the season. Most people's information probably won't have changed in terms of address, etc. But it's always handy just to get people to go in and double check it and obviously make sure it is up to date. So you guys at the club have got nice and clean data for the upcoming season. Everything's correct. And then obviously if you've got a kid, like I say, exact same thing, you can go in and then fill that information out for the child as well. So you've got full sort of access as a parent, and then also, like I say, as a club, always worth sending out prompts to get people to update their information at the start of the season and possibly throughout a season if you wish to do so. Clean data is everybody's friend. So yeah, like I say, again, that's a dead quick whip through of the sort of usages of it. There'll obviously be with clubs and new signups, etc. There's always questions from parents. So if you want to throw a few of them in here, in terms of people be asking this question, that question, if you want to throw a few of them at me, feel free to do so. Or if you've just got general questions, again, I'll have a quick pause and just allow a few of those to come in before starting to answer. Obviously, we've got a few questions that have come in. Start with one from Tanya. When you have a membership form, does it pull through existing information so parents don't need to repeat data already provided? Is that when added a new member in, Tanya? Because yeah, you can do an import of information you've already collected. Obviously, if you've got a membership form and someone's already filled it out, then it retains it year by year. So hopefully that answers that. Collins asked, can show again how someone settles overdue payments. So, by example, Colin, you go into view assignments here, and then it groups them one by one. So, by example, if you had 4 outstanding fixtures, you can choose to pay the 4, or you can click into them individually and then choose to pay one at a time. you can't say tick three of those to then pay three of them only. You have in one payment. You can either have the option of going in, paying them one by one, or if you want to lump them together as five outstanding payments, you can pay off the block of five. Martin's asked, can I make some fields mandatory for junior players but optional for senior players? There's no way to differentiate those completely. What I would do is obviously make it mandatory and then put in brackets next to it something like junior only, and then obviously the seniors can skip by it. Similarly to how, by example, if you went to, I don't know, the dentist, and it would say only applicable if X, Y, and Z. That is how you'd obviously generate that. It's just a case of making it abundantly clear that it's only for a certain cohort of members to answer. So Tanya's asked, is there one report that can be run to determine all outstanding payments, products, membership, and match fees? So they're two completely separate sort of areas. Obviously, you can run the transaction report for an assignment report for the membership, and then also run the same for match fees in terms of the transaction report. So, and then just merge them together into one spreadsheet, and you've got sort of the report that you're asking about. So you can run two different reports and then put them together, and you've got exactly what you're sort of asking for there, Tanya, I believe. The merchant provider, it's Stripe Connect Express, Richard. So you'll probably be using Stripe at the minute if you haven't already created a new provider. So you can set up with Stripe Connect Express, which basically gives you cheaper fees than what Stripe were offering. So that's that one. Again, Stripe Connect Express. There doesn't seem to be any further questions in. Again, I will wait another minute or so just to see if they have come through, if there is any further ones to come through. But at this moment, it doesn't appear to be. So sorry, as I'm saying that, another one has come through. Colin has asked, the blocks and match fees seem to be grouped by the system, e.g. first team, etc. Can you only settle? Yeah, so it's done by product. So by example, if you've got a product set up for your match fees, let's say named senior fees 2024, or just senior fees generally, anyone that has a block of outstanding payments associated to that product, it will then, that's how it groups them essentially. So by example, I know my club have like senior playing fees and then also T20 ones. So then by example, if you had 5 ones for various T20 fixtures, then you can obviously pay those off in a block of them, or obviously if it's linked to like the senior playing fees product, you can then pay those off as a block. So they are segmented by product. Hopefully that covers that for you, Colin. Do you have to choose only one payment method? Could you choose Stripe and go cardless? So as with every product, sort of on Pitchero, you have to choose one payment provider for that product. You can have multiple payment provider accounts set up, but for the products, you have to choose one for them. So there wouldn't be like multiple different ways for members to pay, whether it be Stripe, Stripe Connect Express, or Go Cardless on the product. You obviously can create the different variants within a product, but it would just be going through to one payment provider account. So no harm in having multiple set up for different instances, but the products would be associated to one. And obviously, match fees can only be taken via Stripe or Stripe Connect Express. Lovely. So no further questions have come in. So we'll end it there, guys. Obviously, if there is any questions that you haven't had a chance to ask and you want to do so, feel free to either contact support, which is support@pitchhero.com, or contact myself, which is w.dunkley, that's Dunkerley at pitchero.com. And obviously, like I say, fire any questions over that you may have, whether it be off the back of this or just generally. Sorry, Grant's just asked, how do we get a copy of the recording? So as long as you're registered, Grant, you'll get a recording sent round after the fact. Obviously, you can send that to further members, etc., if you want to. So that, obviously that will be circulated probably sort of mid to late week. But yeah, thanks for everyone who's joined. Give the rest of your sort of remaining 5 minutes or so of a lunch break back, and have a good rest of your day, guys. Cheers.